Hi, I'm Dr. Roger Gewolb, and I'm here outside the Bank of England to talk about fairness and money. Fairness is probably not something that you associate these days with money and banks and finance, but I think it's high time that money was fair. The crash of 2008 showed up the tremendous unfairness of the system, and the crash has led to a situation where we now have more than 35% of the British public categorized as subprime borrowers. That means far too many families can't get a loan when they need it at a decent price. And when they can't, and when people are desperate for cash, that means they can be left at the mercy of unscrupulous, unethical, in other words, unfair lenders. That's simply not right. That's why I've been campaigning for fairer finance. And that's why I've decided to do something about it myself now. Your Grace, nice to see you. Thank you very much for taking time and making the time in your busy schedule to talk with us. I'd like to ask you about comments you made a couple of years ago in 2013, where you said that you would like to not so much legislate Wonga out of existence, but try to compete them out of existence.
I think it's really important to say that I did and do feel very strongly about the way that many of the payday lenders were operating. You know, this is an unacceptable form of business practice.
How do you keep fairness in there? How do you keep the principles of the church in there?
I think if I could crack that straight away, then, you know, I'd be running quite a large chunk of this country, I suspect.
Alex, a lot of people struggle this time of year for cash, always, and how fair is the loans market for them now?
The financial crisis has produced a really unfair terrain where people, ordinary people, and not just people who are out of work, but ordinary people really struggle to get the credit that they need.
Well, that certainly seems to be the problem. What can be done about it?
Well, there's obviously things which are going on. I mean, the government has taken some action in terms of trying to cap the cost of some of these fly-by-night payday lenders and so on.
Dr. Roger Gewolb launched the Fair Loans comparison website fairmoney.com earlier this year. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Andrew.
Is this a big problem then?
Well, I think it's a growing problem, but I think more it's a question of fairness rather breaking out all over the place. The Archbishop certainly set things in motion a couple of years ago. Prince Charles has been at it with his accounting sustainability, that accountants and companies should report not just on profits, but what the three Ps, people, planet, profit.
Mr. Brown, Siggy was awarded a knighthood for services to industry by Harold Wilson in 1976. When did you first become aware of his links to the Labour Party?
Oh, when I became a member of Parliament in the 1980s, I think everybody knew Ziggy for what he did and what he achieved and what he stood for.
Siggy has been a long-term member of the Fabian Society and supporter of New Labour. How much did you value his contribution in those early years?
I think in the 1980s, after the experience of the 1970s and the difficulties that government had, there maybe were plenty of people who were prepared to come to us when we were winning, but people who were prepared to support us when we were trying to get ourselves in a position to win was incredibly important, and it's to his credit that through that thick and thin of defeat and difficulty, he was supporting us.
You were brilliant. It was fantastic.
Good. Thank you very much indeed.